And to the heavenly vision thus presumed, O by what name? For thou above all these, above mankind, or aught than mankind higher, surpassest far my naming. How may I adore thee, author of this universe, and all this good to man, for whose well-being so amply and with hands so liberal thou hast provided all things? But with me I see not who partakes. In solitude what happiness? Who can enjoy alone, or all enjoying what contentment find? Thus I presumptuous. And the vision bright, as with a smile more brightened, thus replied, What call'st thou solitude? Is not the earth with various living creatures, and the air replenished, and all these at thy command, to come and play before thee? Knowest thou not their language and their ways? They also know, and reason not contemptibly. With these find pastime, and bear rule. Thy realm is large. So spake the universal Lord, and seemed so ordering. And I with leave of speech implored, and humble deprecation thus replied, Let not my words offend thee, heavenly power, my maker, be propitious while I speak. Hast thou not made me here thy substitute, and these inferior far beneath me set? Among unequals what society consort, what harmony or true delight, which must be mutual, in proportion due, given and received, but in disparity the one intense, the other still remiss, cannot well suit with either, but soon prove tedious alike. Of fellowship I speak, such as I seek fit to participate all rational delight, wherein the brute cannot be human consort. They rejoice, each with their kind, lion with lioness, so fitly them in pairs thou hast combined. Much less can bird with beast, or fish with fowl, so well converse, nor with the ox the ape. Worse then can man with beast, and least of all. Whereto the Almighty answered, not displeased, A nice and subtle happiness I see, thou to thyself proposest in the choice of thy associates, Adam, and wilt taste no pleasure, though in pleasure solitary. What think'st thou then of me, and this my state? Seem I to thee sufficiently possessed of happiness or not, who am alone from all eternity? For none I know second to me, or like, equal much less. How have I then with whom to hold converse, save with the creatures which I have made, and those to me inferior, infinite descents, beneath what other creatures are to thee? He ceased, and I lowly answered, To attain the height and depth of thy eternal ways, all human thoughts come short, supreme of things. Thou in thyself art perfect, and in thee is no deficience found. Not so is man, but in degree, the cause of his desire, by conversation with his like to help or solace his defects. No need that thou shouldst propagate already infinite, and through all numbers absolute, though one. But man by number is to manifest his single imperfection, and beget like of his like, his image multiplied, in unity defective, which requires collateral love and dearest amity. Thou in thy secrecy, although alone, best with thyself accompanied, seekest not social communication, yet so pleased, canst raise thy creature to what height thou wilt of union or communion, deified. I by conversing cannot these erect from prone, nor in their ways complacence find. Thus I emboldened spake, and freedom used permissive, and acceptance found, which gained this answer from the gracious voice divine. Thus far to try thee, Adam, I was pleased, and find thee knowing not of beasts alone, which thou hast rightly named, but of thyself expressing well the spirit within thee free, my image not imparted to the brute, whose fellowship therefore unmeet for thee. Good reason was thou freely shouldst dislike, and be so minded still. I, ere thou spakest, knew it not good for man to be alone, and no such company as then thou sawest intended thee, for trial only brought, to see how thou couldst judge of fit and meet. What next I bring shall please thee, be assured. Thy likeness, thy fit help, thy other self, thy wish, exactly to thy heart's desire. He ended, or I heard no more, for now my earthly, by his heavenly overpowered, which it had long stood under, strained to the height, in that celestial colloquy sublime, as with an object that excels the sense, dazzled and spent, sunk down, and sought repair of sleep, which instantly fell on me, called by nature as in aid, and closed mine eyes. Mine eyes he closed, but open left the cell of fancy my internal sight, by which abstract as in a trance methought I saw, though sleeping, where I lay, and saw the shape still glorious before whom awake I stood, who, stooping, opened my left side, and took from thence a rib with cordial spirits warm, and life-blood streaming fresh. Wide was the wound, but suddenly with flesh filled up and healed. The rib he formed and fashioned with his hands. Under his forming hands a creature grew, man-like but different sex, so lovely fair, that what seemed fair in all the world seemed now mean, or in her summed up, in her contained, and in her looks, which from that time infused sweetness into my heart, unfelt before. And into all things from her air inspired, the sweet of love and amorous delight, she disappeared, and left me dark. I waked to find her, or for ever to deplore her loss, and other pleasures all abjure. When out of hope behold her, not far off, such as I saw her in my dream, adorned with what all earth or heaven could bestow to make her amiable. On she came, led by her heavenly Maker, though unseen, and guided by his voice, nor uninformed of nuptial sanctity and marriage rites. Grace was in all her steps, heaven in her eye. In every gesture, dignity and love, I overjoyed, could not forbear aloud. This turn hath made amends. Thou hast fulfilled thy words, Creator, bounteous and benign, giver of all things fair, but fairest this of all thy gifts, nor enviest. I now see bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, myself before me. Woman is her name, of man extracted. For this cause he shall forego father and mother, and to his wife adhere, and they shall be one flesh, one heart, one soul.